This is Zettelcast, brought to you by readers, writers, thinkers, and teachers from Lillipub, along with our partners in thought, our Zettelkastens. In this show, we share discoveries that our Zettelkastens have shown us.
There you go.
And compare notes on how we're using this marvelous invention in our creative work. Thank you for joining us.
All right, Brooke.
Let's do it again.
All right.
Episode 38.
It's about them youngins. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is Deb Hart, and this is episode 38. Episode 38, and I've named it. It's about them youngins. It's about them youngins. Two questions. Activity one, or question one. What arguments would you use to persuade an elementary school principal to adopt the use of analog Zettelkastens school-wide? In this vision, everyone involved in learning at all, that's teachers, students, and assistants, etc., would create and maintain an analog Zettelkasten. Most importantly, they would use their analog Zettelkastens as a basic school tool across all subjects, as basic a tool as backpacks and pencil cases. Okay, that's activity one. And activity two is, what suggestions might you have ready to address the principal's main objections to implementing this plan? Because you know he's going to push back. So you walk in there ready with some answers for those pushbacks. So those are the questions for the day. Anybody want to jump in?
Anybody not want to jump in?
Right.
Well, I'll jump in. Really super inspiring question. So in addition to all of those personnel who are doing this, I would add parents. Because I think that education happens at home. School is a place where tools and resources are provided, but when education happens at home, that's when you're combining so many aspects of a person's life. So I think that's an important thing. So I began thinking of, well, who do I know that's kind of like a principal? And I thought of somebody, an old colleague. He's not a principal, but I imagined that he and I had been at a reunion and we met each other. He's an old colleague. He used to be a salesperson of a product that the company that I used to work at bought.
So he's a persuader. Okay.
He's a beautiful persuader. I would say he's the best I've ever seen.
Wow.
And everybody said it. It's like, hats off to this dude. He made the sale. And he retired from that to go teach math. And so I've lost track of him, but by God, I'm going to reconnect with him, because why does this need to be hypothetical?
Exactly.
So I'm not focusing on arguments to persuade the principal to do the thing, because your own experience with an analog Zettelkasten makes the point for you. All of us, I think, and so many other people who have really gotten hands-on with an analog Zettelkasten have been bowled over by the idea, what would my life have been like had I had this starting, for me, where it would have really been a resonant thing is about 7th grade. But I would have wanted to have that pump primed earlier than that. But figuring all of that out is the job of education professionals who know what it is that they're doing. But just, I would say, I would start by just talking with this guy about what I've just said. And I might point him to our previous episodes where we've talked about, well, what is a Zettelkasten and why have one? And then encourage him to have a little project over the summer with his own Zettelkasten, and talk to me if it doesn't take for him, and talk to me if it does. Either way. Because once it clicks with him, oh, watch him go.
Wow. So we can look forward to a session with him too, right?
Maybe. I will certainly, he's off of the grid in terms of the social networks, but I bet that some of the folks that we have in common know how to reach him. And I'm really going to try.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds magnificent. Sounds.
Julianne, you just completely changed my answer because you just inspired me very much. And we have within our own group a person who is a curriculum designer and also is just starting her own Zettelkasten. So I'm in contact with her rather often. And as you said, she's just starting summer. And even though her summer project list is already overstuffed for any 3 months of a summer, I'm going to try to make contact with her as well about the Zettelcast. And you've inspired me on that. So I think I love the idea of why keep this just hypothetical. We all have some touch point in the real world. Why don't we go there?
Yeah.
And another way that I could go there was also stimulated by you, Julianne, when you added parents. I do these series teaching Zettelkasten all the time. I'm working on one which is going to guaranteed to wind up, within a few days. Why don't I start a series, How to Teach Your Child to Use a Zettelkasten, directed directly at the parents, to show them some age-appropriate ideas that I can consult this curriculum designer for help with, since she designs curriculum all the way from pre-K through high school, and make that a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can riff off of that because those of you who know me know one of my secret agendas for my book is to have it accepted as a textbook specifically for creative writing.
Yeah.
So as part of my self-defense business, which I liquidated as a bridge to getting my book done, I have a roster of schools that I did either annual, biannual, or quarterly self-defense classes with. So I've already started putting out feelers. Usually I would work with either the school safety officer. Sometimes it was like the health and fitness, because we were a really nice fit for PE. So rather than having your PE hour, you would come in that day and it was us, and we would just spend the whole day and the kids would rotate through. So I've got several different ways in on my school client list. So I talked with, now when I was at Christa Ray High School, which is a school here in the city, the principal that I worked with is no longer there, but that's fine, because as I started talking about this idea, they were like, well, yeah, we could totally do this in the creative writing class. So my approach, rather than a top down, like at a curricular level, I'm more of an insurgent. So I'm thinking I go in through the creative writing program and give them a specific application. So it's not, I want you to use this big thing and you're going to use it for everything and it's going to do all the things. I know from my pitches to schools for self-defense, that doesn't work. I'm going to teach you self-defense. You're going to learn all the things. And they're like, what does that even mean? No, we're going to talk specifically about cyber safety only during school time. I'm very specific. It has to be niched down. Otherwise, they can't see it. It's too big of a bite. So that's where I'm thinking I approach my contacts strictly through the writing program. And this is where my ulterior motive for doing my masterclass in the Zettelkasten for poetry is that is a perfect bite size. Everyone can take a 20-line poem and we're going to learn how to Zettelcast it with a bib card. Then we're going to move on and we're going to talk about how to create main cards and use concepts to do so. And that's going to get the conversation started because it's a very digestible bite. And that can work at any level. Now, I'm primarily interested in like the high school to the college level, because for me, that's where I can see the application from my own past. Now, because of my debate career, I did learn a system that I still use to this day, which is flowing things across a page, putting things on cards with folders that mirror. That's all debate stuff. So that's a language I already understand. So I'm like, okay, there's a couple of applications there, whether it's through the creative writing program or it's through communications. Those are native languages to me. So that's what I've already started doing. I've got 5 college programs that are willing to have me come in the fall as a speaker based on my book being published. God, please, I gotta have a book. But if I can hit that marker, then I've already got 5 schools that have invited me to come and speak specifically in their creative writing program.
Wow.
So I'm going the insurgent route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the 2 objections that I always got that I went in armed to deal with off the top were, what's it going to cost and who's going to manage it? Because schools are short on money and they're short on time and staff. Not a problem. It's not going to cost you anything because I created programs that they already had a budget for. With this, I would do the same thing. There's no cost. It's just my time to come in and teach the program. I would even gift the book if that's necessary to get it off the ground, like as a pilot program almost. So, and at that, I probably wouldn't gift my whole book. I would gift them chapter 9. All you need to get started is chapter 9 because that's how you implement the system as a writer. So I've kind of thought through how to cannibalize my work so that, you know, I can give something away that's not my whole enchilada, but still make it workable. So that's my plan.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Who knew when I asked this question, all this stuff would come out? Wow. This is great. This is fantastic because the inspiration for the question was, how doable is this? You know, how
Seriously.
doable is this? You know, this is
You only need one teacher. It doesn't even have to be a principal. What I found, you only need one teacher or one parent, ideally one of each, to team up to bring these programs in. Now, my stepdaughter is on the board at the West Platte schools. Now, I ran a self-defense program for them that I started 10 years ago. I've got kindergartners who are now coming out of high school, and we watch the entire school culture change because of the anti-bullying, you know, the courses that we were specifically teaching. We watched the whole school culture change. Yes. I see this happening the same way. I mean, I could literally walk in and do this in kindergarten. If I can teach a kindergartner to take down a 6 foot, 250-pound man, I can teach him how to wrangle a note card. Not a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if we could start this at West Platte and do the same kind of thing, their counselor was my contact there. Deanna is 100% on board. She's like, anything you want to do, bring it. Let's go. Wow. So that's my elementary school petri dish. Is I have access to the whole all 12 years. So that would be awesome to get 10 years worth of data on starting them in kindergarten And I mean, the data that I have from self-defense would blow your eyeballs out. It's so good. I think I can do the same thing with this.
Wow. I would so love to be, revert back and be 7 years old again,
Yeah.
get into this program.
Yeah. Just think of it. We're both 77. I don't think of myself as 77. I literally think of myself as 7 twice over.
7 squared.
Awesome.
That's it. Okay.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Wow. This is because in the course of I'm saying I'm not an academic. I'm not a a trained academic nor a trained educator. I don't have any of these titles. But I have a very active head, my mind is, and I'm, the whole idea of the what ifs. What
Seriously.
if, because I know, just like has already been said, once you get a whiff of it, you got to have more. You become literally addicted to the Zettelkasten, to the analog Zettelkasten. And so with that, it makes you float, and it makes you reach out and gather and look and speculate, and it doesn't exhaust you. It gives you energy. It gives you energy. So, this is like a must implement thing. We
absolutely
must do this. Go.
Yeah, especially with little kids. What I learned firsthand, I have gone into schools with many different programs. Probably the one that was the craziest was when I had my art business. And they wanted me to come in and do a little guest art class, and they're thinking, oh, we could do some, can you do painting? We could do finger paint, because, kindergarten and first graders. And I'm like, no, because I had done this with my own kids. I knew it was not a problem. I'm like, we're going to teach them hand embroidery. And the teachers are losing their minds. You're going to give them needles? Are you nuts? I'm like, I got this. Trust me. I had everything in little Ziploc bags. Each kid got a bag. They got a 4-inch doll needle, not one of those little flimsy, sharp nonsense. No, they got a needle you could hold on to, and used 6 strands of embroidery floss. So they had some thread. And they all did it. Everyone made a little thumb finger puppet with a ladybug on it. Best day ever. I'm like, if I can teach 5-year-olds hand embroidery, I can teach them to use a notebox. They're just so excited. They're so invested. Like, as soon as you light them up with it, you've got them, and they're having a blast, and they want to keep doing it. That part is easy. And then once the teachers see it, then they're like, what else can we do with this?
Outstanding. Yes.
Hear what you have to think, Mel. You look like you've been about to speak so many times here.
No, I'm just listening to all these wonderful ideas, because I think I'm the one closest to the actual school system, at least, where I live right now, as far as having kids in it. And I think you guys are absolutely right that it has to be grassroots, because schools have seen over the years, so many experts come in with, this is the system. And even if it's a good, whatever idea it is, the implementation is guaranteed to be bad, because there's so many different forces that are acting on, changing this and, pulling on it this way. And what they actually end up with doesn't tend to end up, isn't what was originally imagined, even if it was a good idea to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder about the analog, because we all know that analog is so good for developing your brain and developing your ideas. But at least in my kids' school, they have pretty much gotten rid of paper. Like they
Yeah.
do everything on their computers, their Chromebooks, and you know, it's great for the teachers because they're not constantly photocopying worksheets. In a way, it's good for the kids because they don't have worksheets to lose or leave in their locker or have the dog eat or whatever. Um, but you definitely lose something because then they've got they're on these computers all the time, all day, every day, and they take them home and then they're on the computers at home doing their homework, they say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, so, but the administrative easing the administrative burden of having these computers, the teachers are under a lot of burdens. They have so much to do, so much to keep track of on top of the teaching. So how do we make the case that adding some of that burden back of handling physical paper and physical cards and all of that, how do we convince them that it's worth it? And I don't know the answer to that other than, as you guys have been saying, getting somebody enthusiastic about it and seeing the benefits for themselves and then going from there.
Yeah, we have to bring in people like Lynn Kelly,
Brain science.
bring in the what's been lost, right? By getting rid of paper, the hand-eye coordination, the hand when you write, and the whole idea of, I mean, can you imagine once it's been put out there to them, sixth graders, having arguments about the soliloquies, the King Lear's soliloquy. Well, I got this from it, and I got this from it. Well, how does that compare? And they're really, really engaged. That doesn't happen, at least not in my imagination. I don't have any children in school or anything, but digitally, that doesn't happen, but it does happen when you have a group, especially if they're in the same room and not like we are in all these different geographical locations, right? But if you have, I mean, I remember myself as a little kid, and it was like leading curiosity. I was always, why, what, how, this the paper has to come back for us to gain what we have lost. It's
What's being
Kelly
taken from the children?
I'm sorry?
What's being taken from the children?
It's been lost, and it's been put behind a wall. I mean, as a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
The same thing that happened when we went from orality to literacy.
Yeah.
Not good.
Mm.
Not good. So the idea of Lynn Kelly has this, or I don't know if it was Mativier who took it out or what, but there is a video of her talking about the journal, the journey. Okay. And I'm talking about when she's talking about mapping out the landscape as a memory palace, as a memory mechanism, so that when she walks her neighborhood, she literally walks the eons. I mean, And so this is the difference between just walking around the block, physically walking around the block, and walking around the block while you visit these different millennia. I mean, it's all the difference in the world. You have to come back. You have to come back. You have to come back. Well, I'm going to use the word refresh, but it's more than that. It's more than that. It's much, 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 much more than that. So
Maybe
I don't know.
revitalized.
I'm sorry?
Maybe revitalized.
Revitalized, right. Revitalized, energized, you know, but the idea is you're better off when you come back than when you walked out. That's the point. And it's not that you have to go to, you know, that you have to search for the difference that you feel. Every step you bounce where you weren't necessarily bouncing before, you know? So yeah, so if we can get in there, Victoria, surreptitiously, let us go,
Yeah.
you know?
There's
Let
a
us
way
go.
to get paper back into the schools. It's the way they probably do already have paper in the schools. This box I encountered when my Zettelkasten was a baby. My Zettelkasten was no bigger than this when I got this box. It's virtue cards, and they're divided up by all 28 of the character traits. Because if you take a virtue and you pair it with them, not quite so virtuous, you end up with a character trait. And so these were one of my core inspirations. But besides being a Zettelkasten of the character traits in a box commercially, the cards themselves are what I need to share with you.
Ah,
Every one of these cards is a child drawn picture.
wow.
And the littlest ones only need to make the pictures. And where do you file them? In a box.
Yeah.
And how do you organize them? By the virtue they go with. These children are learning positive discipline by watching out for their classmates being virtuous.
Hmm.
Johnny was kind, look. And they're getting the reward of noticing the good behavior at the same time as they're holding that up for themselves as a value. This is a Zettelkasten, because if a child makes a card for every virtue and then writes a story on the back,
Hmm.
go with that card, then that child has formed an association with the picture. And then if they file that in the box where there's two of these cards that are both on humility together, you can start saying, well, what if we put all four of these people in a room together? What are they saying to each other? Now you have communication between the cards. And this is something that can happen at the lowest grades of elementary school. So do I think it can be done? I happen to have evidence in my hands that it can be done, been done.
Yeah.
Not all schools are going to be as open to this, right? So I think as I was thinking about what for most of the weekend was an imaginary conversation with my old colleague and what kind of school system he might already be in, either having helped create it or self-selected to get into it. Ideally, they're not all digitally dementia ridden. They have realized that for every little convenience you're paying with something. And so yeah, some of these schools it's going to work. Some of these schools already have the necessary foundation and some of them don't. And so one of the things that I was when I was working as an agile coach, the experienced agile coaches said, coach the coachable.
Hmm.
You're going to find lots of people who are champion level resistors.
Yeah.
Start with them.
That's
If
awesome.
you feel timid, don't start with them. Start with the coachable. You'll
Yeah.
find them.
That's the line for the day. Champion level resistors. I love it. It's not as good as the groundwater, but it's pretty good. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that is exactly my experience. Some schools were like, self-defense, art classes, but the ones that say yes, love it, and can't wait to have you back, those are our people.
Yeah.
And especially the teachers who mourn the loss of good penmanship, the discipline that handwriting teaches, not to mention the cognitive benefits. Those are our people, because they already get it.
And if they know that they have a partner in the parent, it's a whole different thing from an us them. You've offloaded your kids and we're in charge of them, and you're off to work, and we're molding them into little rats for the rat race.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people who care.
Yeah.
Plenty of people who want to raise thinkers,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just little robots, but thinkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When I was doing this, I was thinking, right, there are lots of people or lots of institutions even, that would resist this because they don't want thinkers.
Yeah.
They just want, people that they can say, do this, do that, and the people will say, yes. How high should I do this, boss? What should I do? They don't want to. They want people who don't want to think. And that's in my mind, that's a sad place to be. It's a sad place to be. But
Yeah.
Another stealth route into this is the extracurricular, 4-H club, all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you were on the debate team, in some schools, I don't know. I suppose our debate team, I was not part of it. I suppose our debate team, they had a teacher who was in charge of it and that sort of thing. But it was an impoverished program, and I'm sure the people just did their best.
And it is often. Well, I was so fortunate that I had the coach that I had. I mean, in Grandview, Missouri, are you kidding me? We had nothing. So we were just so fortunate that she was a rock star. She was amazing and lit a fire under us that like you couldn't even believe. So those are our people. They're out there. We just have to find them. And the cool thing is teachers are such a close-knit community. You only have to get one or two, and then they start talking to each other. I mean, that was how I leveraged, one account into 50 is I'm like, got any friends? We could so do it. It's the Zettelcast illusion.
yeah, that's wow. Okay, because
Coming for the baby.
What? Say it again.
I said, we're coming for the babies.
Oh yes, we're coming for the babies. It's about them young'uns,
Yes, right?
Oh. Yeah.
It's about them young'uns, right? I mean,
I love it.
what a legacy, to leave. A path emblazoned along these lines. Wow. That would be a true gift to the future, because these thinkers would end up being sooner or later the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just like the cream, they'll rise to the top.
Yeah. Oh, this is true. This is so true.
Yeah.
Well, if we combine Julianne's, coach the coachable, coach the willing, with, Victoria's roads into the school, with all of these things that we put together, we can reach a generation and elevate them, just as the students in Granville, Missouri, became champion debaters, we can train champion, as you say, Deb, thinkers, and they will be the cream that rises to the top,
Mm.
Mhm.
and they will love their Zettelkastens.
Oh, yeah.
And they could be counted on to make sure it stays alive and for the next generations, you know.
Yep, yep.
Wow.
We talk about feeling wistful. I had a comment on one of my videos yesterday. It was from a gentleman, apparently from China. Chen was his name, and if you looked up his YouTube, it was all in, I believe, Chinese. And he responded to me saying that he was enjoying my series, and oh, how he wished he had a Zettelkasten when he was at the university in the 1950s.
Mm. Yeah.
And he said, oh, what I would have been able to write. And so I was not at the university in the 1950s. I was a little child in the 1950s. So I was just flabbergasted and honored that a gentleman from the other side of the globe, who was my superior in age and education, was touched by something that I could say in a video. But all I could answer him back, because I know that was fulfilling, because I feel it myself at my age, and you expressed it too, Deb, is to say, well, my Zettelkasten began to give me joy when it only had a few cards.
Mm.
And I think he, even at his advanced age, might yet find great joy starting one.
Yeah.
And certainly our babies can start one and live with it their whole lives and not know how, they won't need to know or bemoan what it was like to have grown up without one. They will have grown up with one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who else is pushing analog? Just the anti-netters. And I think we're the only YouTube channel of a group of anti-netters. It's us.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yay,
Well,
Julianne.
yay, Deb.
Yeah.
Yay, us.
Yeah.
You know.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. Okay. So I think wow, we are at 103. Okay. Mm. We have there is nothing in my research that even begins to add to what we've already said.
Mm.
You know, it doesn't. I mean, it because it basically behind Victoria's actualization of what can be done, you know, the actuality of having these inroads, and Julianne's question of let this not just be a thought experiment. Let's do this. You know, let's do this. Versus my exploration of the topic as again an untrained educator, an untrained even an untrained researcher. All this stuff is just, you know, coming out of my head saying, why not? You know, what, right? These are real experiences that can be passed on as gold to our children, you know, to our children's children. And so recognizing that we can't do anything but make sure it's implemented, you know, so I don't have any more to add. I don't have any more to add. Anybody else have anything they want to say?
I think we nailed it. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Team Z, let's go.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. It's about them youngins. Okay. Okay.
Well,
Well,
check back with us and see what we've done.
see what we
Oh, accountability. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
yeah.
And hey, Kathleen, where can people find us?
On lilypub.org. This is where we hang out, and we have some wonderful spaces that you might enjoy. We have a whole circle for Zettelkasten. We meet a couple of times a week on Zoom and talk about Zettelkasten questions. We've got our fabulous fusion writing group led by Victoria. We meet on Saturdays. We share our writing and we talk again over Zoom. Mel has a group on LilyPub, his wonderful old books and his tremendous discussions and newsletter on the workings of Ramon Lull and other great philosophers. There is a wealth here, and we all love and play with our Zettelkastens at lilypub.org.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. I think that's it, y'all.
I think that's it, y'all.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.